Welcome to the Wolf's Den,
the podcast where passion,
hustle,
and collectibles
collide. We spotlight the leaders and innovators of the hobby, women entrepreneurs, female athletes, breaking barriers in sports, business, and collectibles space.
From rare finds to business insights, we bring you personal stories of perseverance, growth, and what's trending in today's industry. Whether you're a new collector or returning to the hobby or a leader forging their own path,
this is the Den, where the hustle never stops.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wolf's Den. We are excited to have our friend and director join us in this special episode. We would like to welcome our director, Morgan Jon Fox, who beautifully filmed a documentary called The Hobby, where he captured a moment in time in the sports card industry where everything was just booming at that time. And he beautifully captured that moment where the sports card industry shifted. And we'd like to welcome Morgan to the episode. Hi, Morgan.
Hello.
Welcome to the Wolf's Den. We're very excited to have you part of our program. Morgan here is a filmmaker, a storyteller, and the director of the critically talked about documentary, The Hobby. And so with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Morgan Jon Fox to the Wolf's Den.
Thank you so very much for having me. It is a complete honor. And I would at any point do anything to help the two of you who I view as the two most important people in the hobby.
Oh, thank you. That's pretty acclaimed right there. I know. Important. I don't know.
Okay. So, we're going to drop it right away. Morgan. Who is Morgan Jon Fox?
Morgan Jon Fox. I am a filmmaker. I've been, filmmaking has essentially been my identity as a working person since my early 20s. But I'm also just someone who cherishes nostalgia, who is, I would say, a loving person who cares about other people. I would like to consider myself empathetic. I'm an introvert, which is funny, the field that I chose, because it requires me to be very much in other people's worlds. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why I chose the path that I took, because I like to tell stories and I like to sort of have a lens on other people. It sort of in some ways allows me to see how other people work and what makes other people tick, and taking the spotlight off of myself some, even though here I am with the literal light on my face as I talk to you all. So I try to balance those two parts of myself. But yeah, I'm a creative living in Chicago, Illinois with my husband, from Memphis, Tennessee initially. And the fact that I made a film in this world is sort of a dream come true.
Yeah, and before we even met, there was a lot of people that I don't like to. I'm kind of introvert too. And, getting interviewed a couple of times before even choosing a partner for a documentary was, hard, but I kind of connected with you right away. Ted obviously introduced, about the film and about the documentary, but I think when I met with you, that's when I kind of told Siobhan, you could be probably the best partner for us to kind of, if we do something like this, so.
Yeah, I feel like even
Ted, just so we said, Ted Speaker is the producer of the documentary. Just yes,
the documentary. I don't know if we name it. It's called The Hobby. The documentary. So, I love the documentary. I don't like to watch myself, but I send the link to a bunch of people and they could watch it. I just don't like to hear myself. So. Okay. So before even picking up the camera for this project, what was your personal relationship with sports and sports cards, collecting growing up, basically?
Yeah, so in the late 80s, let's say 88, 89, it was the first time I bought any kind of trading cards. I probably bought baseball cards first, but my real interest was basketball cards. Just because I grew up around sports. I played some church league sports and stuff. I was never real professional except for tennis later on in high school. But that was the heyday of the first initial, we call it the junk wax era now, but that was like cards were everywhere. I mean, this is why we call it the junk wax era, because, gas stations, grocery stores, everywhere you went, there was cards. But I eventually found this little hobby shop down the street from where my grandparents lived called the Seventh Inning. My grandfather would take me there, or my father would take me to another card shop. There was a handful in our town. And I remember the first big chase that I was really, really interested in was the Jose Canseco 1986 Don Russ rated rookie card. I loved that photo. I loved that design.
Yep.
And it probably, had a bit of a crush on Jose. But, he had that 40-40 season that really,
I remember
at the time, was like just huge, and this is back when, people who grew up now don't realize that like athletes now are famous or whatever. But back then, like if an athlete was famous, like everybody in the world knew who they were. Right now, beyond the first 2 or 3 most famous baseball players, I would guess like it's like hard for people to name more than a couple of baseball players unless you're watching baseball consistently. But back then, I mean, these people were mega stars, Jose Canseco dating Madonna, all this stuff. And so to me, like that was my goat. And my father, I remember for one of my birthdays, bought me that rated rookie card at a place called Nostalgia World. And so that's where it all started for me. But, as I went into high school, the later years, I started to phase out just because other interests and other things were happening in my life. But yeah, I mean, I was collecting in the heyday of the junk wax era very proudly.
So when did it click that some of this stuff needs to be filmed? Do you know?
Yeah. So I picked up back collecting in 2009, actually. I started watching basketball again and got really involved because we had a really good team in Memphis. John Calipari was coaching our college team. And this is before we had the Grizzlies in Memphis. And I was watching some of those prospects and I saw some NBA cards, 2009, 2010. Very important year.
Yep.
A couple other really incredible rookies that year. So I started buying constantly, not only from like Target, which is what my entry point was, but then on eBay and stuff. At some point I owned, no kidding, this is something that hurts me to admit, I owned like 6 or 7 Stephen Curry RPAs that were numbered, at least 3 or 4 of them were numbered less than 25.
I have to say it's 6, 7.
6, 7. But that was me getting back into it. And then over the years, I was aware of trading cards. And then one day I was, I've been making films my whole, since my early 20s, my whole life since. And I was co-producing a film with my producer, Ted Speaker, who you mentioned earlier, who produced The Hobby. And we were in LA working with this company that suddenly someone told me that this company has a trading card documentary that is basically greenlit and ready to go. They just need a director. And someone was like, we've heard you talking about trading cards because you're a nerd and you were talking about it while we were filming this other project. Are you interested in directing this documentary? And I was like, well, yeah, of course. And they were like, okay. And they literally walked me into a meeting where they were discussing this documentary. And this person who was the director of the other film that I was producing literally said, hey, you all, I think this should be your director. He is also a director and he knows a lot about trading cards. And so it was one of those very lucky being in LA at the right place at the right time. And then I had to, I sort of pitched my idea of the documentary then because I was listening to a podcast called the Sports Cards Nonsense Podcast. So kind of my idea was to sort of filter the sort of narrative of the film through a podcast so that we had the ability to portray information sort of, episodically throughout the doc. So it's not that sexy of a concept. It's like I was fighting for this doc for years to get it made. It's literally a company that had a lot of money at the time was making a ton of documentaries. And this just happened to be one that was on the radar because it was such a part of pop culture at the time, because this was right after the COVID boom. This was like in early 2021 when things have, it was all over CNN. It was everywhere because prices were skyrocketing.
Yeah, I actually think it's perfect because it has to come in line, and it was right after pandemic, the boom, and then you were there exactly, so it was destined.
Yeah,
So
I mean, part of me wishes we were filming slightly earlier. Part of me wishes we were filming a little bit later, because that's always the thing when you capture a moment in time. It's like you want to see the things when they were really crazy. I'd love to have captured some of the lines outside of Target or something. And then part
yeah,
of me wishes we were filming later when the takeover of Fanatics was complete. We were kind of right in the middle of a big transition. But I think
mm,
you're right. Ultimately, I mean, that's what keeps me sort of satisfied with the final product,
yeah,
which is that we did still put a time capsule to capture a little moment in time as the transition was happening.
yeah. Everybody that asked me about this project, I think in the end that's like the perfect word for it. It was a time capsule piece. It's like I don't know if prices will ever go up to that price
Level.
range again, but it's kind of going up. It's fluctuating.
Yeah.
It's always evolving, and I feel like so many people watched the documentary that spoke up to and about the film is like wow, this happened not even so long ago. It's just special moment at that time. I understand the prices change, but it perfectly captured that moment basically. What
That's
surprised
fair.
you the most when you started filming about the sports card community that you didn't expect going into it?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I was educated quite a bit on the hobby, and
Yeah.
whenever I'm going to any project, and especially this one, I started to really do deep dives into the hobby before we jumped in, and with most of the participants in the doc, I did pre-interviews as well. Like we jumped
Mhm.
on Zoom or had a phone call so that I could get a little bit of information. So there weren't any giant surprises. I
Mhm.
think, to me, one of the things that was most interesting is just to hear about sides of the hobby that I had not seen before, which is like, for example, when we filmed with Josh Luber, for
Yep.
example, and he showed us all of his non-sport card collection. That opened my eye to a side of collecting that I honestly completely was unaware that there were cards existed. I even remember thinking like, oh, I wish there was cards of these movies or these movies like that I grew up loving or something. But not. I guess I just didn't even think that they existed, so I didn't go look on eBay or whatever. But
Yeah.
then after Josh Luber talked about the cultural significance of a Jimi Hendrix card versus an Elgin Baylor rookie or
Yeah.
something, and I was like, dang, he's right. Like
Mhm.
Jimi Hendrix is way more famous than Elgin Baylor is in terms of
Yep.
culturally and his importance to. So that was really eye opening. But then also just like standing in the PWCC
Mhm.
headquarters in Oregon, which is now of course owned by Fanatics,
Mhm.
um, and being there around $500 million worth of inventory was just mind blowing. Just
Yeah.
to hold a PSA 9 Hank Aaron rookie, and to know that someone wired someone else the millions of dollars to buy this card, and it was just in a little piece of plastic, and I'm
Yeah.
holding it and filming it. It was kind of mind blowing
Yeah.
and crazy. I think that we
You know,
just endlessly were surprised and delighted by people's also the hustle and bustle. So filming with you and hearing you tell tales about how you would stay up until 3 a.m. to read box scores, and me realizing like, oh, there's a reason too why people are succeeding.
mm,
There's so much growth in this world, but people are still going to rise to the top for a reason. And why is that? Well, we learned why. It's because
mhm.
some people hustle, and some people treat this like a true business. And a lot of people treat it like a true business, but some people are just better than others because of the grind and because of the years they put into it, like you all. And incredibly impressive to hear your stories.
Appreciate that. Those have to be earned, and there's a lot of young people that obviously come and ask us those, how do you start? How do you keep, going in this hobby? I think, equipping ourselves and knowledge is like so important, and with knowledge, it's not something you just pick up one time. It's ongoing process, obviously. And
Yeah.
in any trade,
Yeah.
your job, my job,
Right.
and I feel like that's why we do this podcast too, to kind
Yeah.
of let people know, the hobby is fun, but if you could learn how to actually be good at it, it's something that it's a good profession. And being an entrepreneur, it gives you a certain freedom that a 9 to 5 doesn't. in my opinion. So, and I just know a friend of mine recently that he just paid off his loan as a lawyer, and now he's doing this full time. He quit his lawyer job because, and to me that he enjoys it.
But he's definitely got hustle though.
Yeah,
Like
he has hustle. You have to have hustle.
Like traveling to every shows every weekend, yeah. You got to put your name out there.
Yeah, when Morgan, you followed us to Vegas, that year, I think that kind of wiped me. I did like 36 shows in that calendar year. So in 52 weeks, but after that I really took a step back because that's a lot, but it was worth it,
Yeah. So was there a moment during the production or filming that changed the direction or the tone of the documentary?
Yeah, I think that there's always a moment in the filming in which you have to follow story, and that's the biggest way in which you sort of discover what the documentary is about. Because people might be surprised actually that before you start a documentary, you really do need to sort of write a script per se. Yeah. Not a script like a movie script or a narrative, where you write the dialogue and everything, but you need to sort of chart out. Here's where we're beginning. Here's where the story is. Here's how it evolved, and here's the resolution. Because otherwise you're just filming blindly, and no one. If this is a documentary that is funded and you have crew, you have to like use your time wisely because it's not cheap to fly people all over the country, and and so for this it was a little bit tricky because we didn't get to spend a lot of time with individuals to really discover what story may exist within their lives. We would just be like, we're going to New York at this time, so we have to film with these people. Is there something happening within this window? Yeah. So we tried to plan that a little bit in terms of when we went where, but we didn't have a lot of freedom. And so we basically just did this initial round of filming to discover what we could find, and then knew that we had a handful of small dates left to follow up on story later. So one of the two biggest things I would say that we discovered along that path that we knew we would want to follow up on is the evolution of Fanatics buying tops, and then sort of the sort of getting the licenses happened, but then they bought tops, and then there was sort of the slow takeover happening with Fanatics. So we were like, well, how do we follow that story, even though we know it's not going to happen? It happened pretty fast in retrospect, but we filmed in a pretty small window. So that was one of those things I wish we could film. We could have filmed a year longer and capture the full sort of like, and it's still happening currently. But
yeah, it's actually perfect timing. They just officially got basketball license yesterday. Well, the first product came out yesterday, so.
Yeah. So there's things that are happening so fast with that, right? So it's like, but when you're filming, it's like you really have to have the timing right, or an extension of your budget, or not have a deadline, or else you have to stop somewhere. So that was one of it. We were like, oh, that's a thread we can jump onto. The other one was like when you mentioned, there's this card with Josh Luber that, was this Luca black gold prism card, and that, that you were almost making a deal with Josh Luber. We're like, well, that's a thread, and that ties two characters together. That's really important. So we filmed more. We were like, well, that's a pickup date when both of these people will be in the same place at the same time. We have to go film there. So we're always looking for things like that. And that was really what it was about, pivoting to try to capture threads that make it a story and not just a montage of things.
Yeah, and because of that, people still ask me, even Josh, just like our connection still, every time Josh always invite us to like events in the city, we talk about it every time. Every time. I'm serious. And then he was like, maybe we should let Morgan, when we officially exchange this card, So it's, and I told him he's still going to be the one getting it when we're ready. So he knows that. Unless he really gives me a lowball offer. No, he's good. So, okay.
The next question I was curious about was your interest in storytelling. Where did that come from?
Yeah, my interest in storytelling, it's interesting. I think that I was always a little bit of because of my introvert status, I always like tried to find ways to sort of like I was always like weaving tales in my brain. It's not like I'm sitting there being quiet with no thoughts in my head. And so that's kind of where that began. But really, in high school, I had this incredible theater teacher. It was my senior year, and I took a theater class, honestly, just as like an easy A. I did not care about theater at all. But I knew that there was this really cool teacher named Mrs. J, who everyone was like, she was younger, and people just really liked her. And I took that class, and honestly, I was a pretty bad kid. Like, I had gotten in a lot of trouble. My mother passed away when I was 12, 13, to cancer. And like my life kind of spiraled after that a little bit. And it sort of come to a head right around my senior year in high school. So I was in this class, being a bad kid, and one day I remember this theater teacher taking me out of class and basically like cussing at me. She doesn't remember cussing at me, but my memory is very distinct that she said, like, "What the F is wrong with you?" She was like, "Do you want to be just another name on my roll, and I'll give you the grade that you deserve, which probably isn't going to be a good one at this point, or do you want to use the stuff that you're going through, and my class can be a safe space for you to be creative in a way to process the difficulties in your life, because you clearly have plenty of them." And I just remember, like, that hit me so hard, having an adult, someone that I thought was cool and that I looked up to, like, basically tell me that I could use the difficulties in my life in a creative way. And so I started writing, and that became a way that I process things. And as I graduated and went to college, I wrote a film script that basically was autobiographical. And I left college after a semester because I was like, I want to go make films, and I need to dedicate my life to making films. And that's what I did. And over the next 2 years, I figured out how to make films. I went back to the high school. My theater teacher, like, we basically recreated that scene. She was in the film. A lot of her students were in the film. And then that film ended up winning best film at a festival in Chicago, which, full circle, the last 2 years, I have programmed that festival. I've been the narrative features programmer at that same festival. So we won best film at that festival, and we ended up getting a distribution deal. Blockbuster bought the film, put it in all their stores, and I was like, well, I guess this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So that's how it all started. And since then, I've just figured out ways. It's also been films that I write, but then I have made documentaries as well along the course of things.
Okay,
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And so I didn't know that you lost your mom so early.
Yeah, it's tough. My husband also lost his father at a very young age. I feel like that's very common. If you meet someone who lost a parent at a young age, they end up, even if you don't realize it at first, it's like people are drawn to each other for those reasons. And I think that it's certainly like something I have grieved over time, but it shapes who I am. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could make a short film focusing on one athlete right now, who's hot, or who do you think is important for the future, the next 5 years, who would you choose and why?
That's an interesting question. My favorite athlete in the world right now is Shohei Ohtani, just because I think he's like very sweet and kind. I love the montages of him on TikTok where he's just doing nice things to people, and so I sort of and I love to watch him play. You never know what's going to happen, but like, he's also overdone. So I wouldn't try to pitch a project on him. I think if I was going to pick, I would pick someone like Angel Reese, for example, someone who is well known, and somewhat controversial, and I think I would love to dig into that a little bit. Not to make something about like people's opinions about Angel Reese, but I want to know more about Angel Reese. Like, what is her actual story? Because I think if you look at a figure like her, a part of the WNBA, which is of course like rising so quickly, been around for a long time. So obviously the diehards have opinions about the people that are bandwagon fans suddenly because of Caitlin Clark. But Angel Reese has been a topic of a lot of a controversial talking heads, just because she's not afraid to challenge the status
Yeah.
quo and challenge that, hey, like there's others of us out here, and people are like, well, you're not as good, so that's why people don't care about you as much. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but she's very, very good. And we give a lot of mouth service to a lot of NBA players, for example, who are not very good in terms of like the importance of Angel Reese to the WNBA versus the importance of whoever NBA player to the NBA. So I just think digging into someone like that and seeing her background and seeing what motivates her and what pushes her would be a more interesting thing, because I care about those dynamics more so than I care about just like showcasing,
Yep.
somebody else, which I consider my GOAT, which is Serena Williams, who I love. Honestly, I have more than any athlete of all time in terms of like watching an athlete play, like the
That's
most incredible thing I've ever witnessed. But yeah, I think a current athlete today, that would be a fun project to do, is like see what Angel Reese is all about.
I like that because she also kind of got shoved into the role, kind of like a Darth Vader villain for Caitlyn. So I think it's good to hear who she is or her prospect of the situation. What you know. I think it's a good point of view.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because I think maybe that's her persona, almost like if you were a wrestler and you're getting into a
Yeah.
ring, you put on your costume and that's now your persona. I'm curious if that is a persona,
Yeah.
is that like who she really is. Like, don't cut in
Mm.
front of me in front of Disney lines. Like, is she really or is she gonna be like it's like, yeah, you can cut in front of me.
Yeah, it's good to hear her perspective of things, because we
Yeah.
just see it from the
That's
outside. We don't really know what she's thinking. So,
yeah. That
okay.
that would be an interesting one.
So, five rapid fire question. Your first card or most notable card, and do you still have it?
Um, I can't do a single card. I mean, I
Okay.
already mentioned earlier the Jose Canseco rated rookie,
Hmm.
specifically the 86 Don Russ. I love that design.
Hmm.
That was like the first card that I remember. It certainly was not the first card that I got. It was the first card that I got as a present that was like significant value. My father paid $100 for that card, and we were a poor family, so like it felt crazy. And I remember almost feeling bad about it.
Yeah.
Just one of those weird gifts. And
What's the value now?
I the value now, I mean, I'm sure that card was not a PSA 10. I never sent it off to get graded.
Oh.
I never even looked closely because I don't want to know at this point. Weird memories, basically to think about these old cards and think about their current value, like from when you were a kid. Because to me, it's like, I don't know. But I will say that the card that I remember the most being one of the really early ones was a Anthony Hardaway, also known as Penny Hardaway, Memphis State card, a college card that was issued by the team.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I saw Penny Hardaway play in high school. He played summer league with my cousin, and I played a game of 21 against Penny.
Wow.
In fact, at my
Wow.
cousin's house, he had a basketball court in his backyard,
Mhm.
and literally, I would talk so much smack to him because I was just like a little punk kid. I was probably 11 or something, and I was like,
Mhm.
I can beat you. I can beat you in a game of 21. And he was like, bet 20-0. I'm giving you the ball. And
Oh.
so, and he swatted every shot. He
Oh
dunked
no!
on me. He was just like, and of course he beat me
Oh
like
no!
right away, immediately. And
So
so
you didn't
so
score
I
once?
no, of course not. he was already 6'9" in the high
Yeah.
school. It was like anyways, I got that card autographed, and
Mhm.
I that is a card I also will forever cherish and remember as one of my first ever like cards.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Sweet.
What was the question that we asked that wasn't here that we always ask?
Um, um,
We changed it.
rip or
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. She
oh,
has a
sorry,
is
sorry,
very
sorry.
quick
Yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah. Rip or buy singles.
Buy singles all day. I mean, ripping is fun and as exhilarating as it is.
Yep.
To me, there's nothing worse. I feel like the excitement of pulling something great out of a box pales in comparison to the feeling I get in the pit of my stomach when I rip an expensive box and there's nothing in it. Like I
Yep.
just for weeks carry that feeling
Wow.
of disappointment and regret and anger at myself, of just like, because then I'm like, well, everywhere I look for weeks after that, I'm seeing that dollar sign of what the box costs of all these
Mhm.
other things that I didn't buy because it was that's a lot of money. I don't need that, or like whatever. I hate it. I hate that feeling. Now lower dollar, something. I recently ripped a box of Dune Topps Chrome because I love that movie,
Mhm.
and I wanted a Timmy Chalamet card or something. I don't know. Uh,
He
uh,
didn't
so
sign. I wanted to open that product too, but I heard he's not signed, and Zendaya. I wanted the Zendaya autograph. So.
yeah, neither of them signed.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see the first product that he signs, because that will be insane,
Mhm.
valuable, because I think he's without question going to be, is
Yeah.
currently and will continue to be the biggest star
Yeah.
in an era, mind you, that we don't really have movie stars anymore. That has changed so
Yes.
much compared to how it used to be.
Yeah.
So those who are considered stars are truly mega stars. And so, yeah, I'll rep a low value box, but never like that Stranger Things box. I can't do it.
Yeah. Especially with the value now of the box, Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love ripping, but now my focus, I don't want to, like you said, the suffering you go through after you lose those money. It's like $1,500 for a Topps Chrome box. It's like to get two autographs that you might not be able to get $100 back. It's tough. So, but non-sport is such a fun open still that sometimes it's worth it. So that's something I still like to open. Just to quench some thirst. Yeah. Okay.
Spoken like a true addict.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh God.
Okay. So, what keeps you motivated and continue to drive you in your job or whatever in life?
Yeah. I mean, I think at this current stage of my life, I am motivated in my personal life by like finding ways to slow down time.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to a podcast, Radio Lab, where someone basically did an experiment of attempting to slow down time by studying sort of experiments
Mm-hmm.
that showed us the way that we slow down time is by benchmarks. So things that are important, that create memories, right? If we're just following routines and we look back at 2 weeks of nothing but routine, it'll feel like time moved just like this.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do a couple things that are important on those 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks is going to feel much longer, especially in 6 months, especially in a year.
Yeah.
And so to me, like that is a practice that I try to put a lot of intention into. And so just like finding out ways to slow down time so that memories are, can cherish this life that we're living.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of what, I guess if I want to separate it a little bit, is like what inspires me in the hobby is to just now get rid of. I'm inspired by. There's two things that motivate me. These are very specific. I wonder if you probably don't relate, but I wonder if other collectors might relate to this. One,
Okay.
I have a partner who does not care about collectibles, period, and especially does not give a damn about cards. I
Does he
am
watch sports?
mortified. No,
Oh, okay. No.
I'm mortified by the day. Like if I died one day and all these bulk of cards were sitting here, it would be a burden.
Yep.
But if I had 20 high value cards and that was it, it would actually be pretty easy for him to know how to turn that into money that he could then use, for example. So that's one reason, but also just as a means of me needing to declutter my life. I am
Mm-hmm.
currently motivated by trying to get rid of all the bulk of my collection and turn it into a handful of higher value assets that not only I'm excited to look at and can put back here or somewhere safer if they're more expensive, but also that just that are nostalgia inducing, and that I think will hold value in 20, 30 years.
I think that's a very good point. I know you asked if we relate. I think that's how I teach people that are getting into the hobby. You know, I don't like people just, you know, thinking, seeing cards and just see money value, like they just want to flip it, obviously. But I like to teach the newer people that's coming in to kind of collect what you love type of thing, and know that don't just go crazy on something that you know it's not worth it, but think that in 5 years or something that you could give to someone like your kids or something that it has some value later on too. It's kind of like investing properly. It's good that you love that, but it's also good to know that there's some value to that. And I think that's so important, so it's you're not just throwing away something, and like you said, it could become a burden when it's a lot. And it's good what you're doing, and also telling your partner or your kids to, this has value, telling them, not lie to them, because so many dads are like hiding all their collection from their spouse or their kids, and when something happened they don't know what to do with it. So I like to tell them, especially my people that I help build portfolio, to kind of tell your spouse what to do. Here are some names, people you could get in touch with to kind of help you through the process. I know it sounds morbid, but it's the truth, because you don't know.
Yeah.
So, and I think
Because
that's very important.
yeah, if they think that it's worthless, then
Yeah, exactly.
they might donate it. Maybe he'll donate it to the Salvation Army.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
actually have a question for you
Mhm.
all.
Yeah.
If someone is trying to get rid of a bull, I have, I don't know, 300, 400 slab, maybe less than that. Maybe it's 200 to 300 slabs
Mhm.
that are anywhere. Some of them, honestly, today are probably worth $10, maybe even a tiny bit less because of the way COVID went, right?
Mhm.
And then some of them are worth $500. If I literally was like, I don't want any of these anymore, I want them all gone. A consigner, is that the best route to go? I mean, I'm not a dealer like you all. I'm not going to go set
Yeah.
up a show. I've done it before, but it's like I can't do show after show. And I know that if I just go to one show, no one's going to come up because of the types
Mhm.
of slabs I have. No one's going to come clean me out like a
Mhm.
repacker. It's not that type of product.
Yeah.
So what is that route if I'm just like, I mean, of course I could do it on eBay slowly,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
what do you think is actually the
Well,
best route?
best thing to do is kind of do your research, what the value is. Know kind of like, not the exact value, obviously, if you don't know, but there are apps out there that could kind of help you comp right away. And then if you don't want to do the work, obviously you have to take less, obviously. So go to an event. So knowing that my collection is worth 5 to 10,000, and then go sell it to a show, a dealer there. Or there are people that I found out they love to maximize and kind of. I know a guy who's a finance guy, a banker, and but he loves listing on eBay, you know. So he takes his time. To him it's kind of like it's stress reliever for him. So he does the listing online and he has fun doing it. So it's really up to you, but the option, if you just want to get rid of it, know the value. Because when you go to a show and people sense that you don't know the value, they could lowball you and say your collection is $500, and you also got to listen. I have Pokemon was on the surge the past year, and this guy literally have someone the best vintage collection, and a store offered him $500 for everything. But luckily, he has some sentimental value because his kid passed when he was doing this, so he decided to keep it. But the guy in the store said, "Oh, you should go meet Sharon and kind of help you, grade them and maximize." So in the end, he sold everything, we graded for him, and got back close to 10 grand. So it's just, help you. That's why I said, help know what the value is, know your stuff, and then move it. If you're willing, if it's worth 5 to 10,000 and somebody offered you 6,000, I think, you gotta leave some meat on the bone, I guess.
What about is ComC? They're set up at
um
shows too.
ComC for cheaper items. They could run stuff on auction for you if you don't want to do the work.
Yeah.
They have a good following also. And obviously PSA now too. If you want to grade some stuff, they literally make it so easy now to, put it in their vault and run it for you. There's a lot of options now. Just do your research before you do anything. That's the best advice. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to me, I think the stage I'm about to the step I'm about to take is to send it to an eBay consigner, just
Hmm.
because a lot of the cards I have, if I take them to shows, a lot of people just have zero interest in the
Yeah.
cards. Even if I find they're non-sport cards, I find a non-sport dealer, they'll be like, yeah, I'll show them 20 cards, and they're like one or two of them they're
Yeah,
interested in. You know, it's like,
exactly. And you don't want to do that because they'll pick like the two best card and the rest you can't move, you know. So if you send it
yeah,
to a consignor, at least you
Run
could
it.
run the whole ball and kind of get an average. At least you're moving everything, you know.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and knowing that some of those maybe the wrong time to put it on auction and you may suffer, but it's like if you just got to get rid of it, I don't know.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just think the long term, the biggest thing that I am like trying to do because I'm not in the speculative
Mhm.
situation anymore. I sort of did that with Stranger Things
Yep.
intentionally because I knew it was about to end.
Yep.
But for things I want to hold for quite a long time, it's like to me, it's like IP. I have a couple vintage cards, but other than that, it's like IP that is beloved in the
Mhm.
non-sport world. Things that I'll just hold. Like that's why I have a Harry Potter stuff, even though J.K. Rowling is very controversial. It's said some very nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but the IP is still beloved.
Mhm.
Same thing, you know, Star Wars and worlds
Yeah.
like that, where it's like there that stuff is not it's not speculation. It's like minted,
Yeah.
you know. And so
And,
to me, that's the kind of thing that people will always reflect back because we are in a nostalgia based hobby.
yep.
I know that like
Exactly.
that has changed a lot and with
Mhm.
speculation, rookies and stuff. That's
Mhm.
clearly not nostalgia based if you're buying a rookie to try to flip it in a year. But ultimately I don't have the like fortitude or the schedule that I can flip
Yep.
something quick enough to
Mhm.
make money off of it. I will hold it too long to where I miss the miss the
Mhm.
window.
Linda?
And
Well,
so I'm thinking long term.
that's where 90-80% of collectors are, you know. They don't know when to you know, the timing is important. And when you're not in it, you know, you have full-time job, you have family, you know, you miss that boat, and next thing you know, not looking at it, those cards are not worth much anymore, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, last question. One word to describe the hobby right now.
Burgeoning.
Ooh,
Burgeoning
still?
is my
Okay.
answer. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's literally in the middle of great change, and
Yeah.
I think it's people think things have changed. It's
Mhm.
changed so much. It's not. It to me right now is having. It's like a teenager having a growth spurt,
Mhm.
where
I think
it
we're
was
still in
like
the middle of it. Mhm.
here and then it boom, it shot up
Yep.
like that really quick, but it's still very young in that change specifically.
Yeah.
It's almost like an old hobby died.
Mhm.
Like I truly feel like it's not like I know it's a over 100-year hobby, but I feel like the old ways kind of died out. This new era happened, and it's happening so fast that we have
Yep.
no clue what it's going to look like in 10 years. I feel like in
No,
10 years
definitely.
it'll look extremely different than it does now.
It's like every year
That's
the
scary.
leaps, the changes are just so different from last
Yeah.
year to this year, you know, and from pandemic to now. It's you know, it's to see sports card in MSNBC. It's like, you know, it's just so different in the finance page, you know. And then the people that are getting in it, it's just so different now.
Right.
So
They can
yeah.
change it in
Yeah,
ways.
and
Right.
tech is involved now, you know. It's just leap and bounds. I do agree with that. In 5 years it's might be totally different. Okay, let's close out this segment. Thank you, Morgan, and we'll be back for episode 2 and howling it out with Morgan. Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
It was great seeing Morgan again. It's always a pleasure to see Morgan. I actually didn't know that he was that big of a collector.
No, I didn't know either. So
Yeah, and really into a hobby. I feel like more than I am. I mean, you're in it, but
I don't know if you're really in the
yeah, I'm
hobby.
not.
You know, you're like
I'm just a
tagging along.
visitor.
You know,
Yeah, it's just like
no. But you see,
I'm
you
the
have the view of it.
I'm the
You
third
know,
wheel. I'm the third
yeah.
wheel.
But you have a good inside view of it. You know,
Yeah,
what's trending, what's going on in the hobby. You have,
yeah,
you
because
know.
you tell me.
Well, we discuss it. So,
Not that you tell me my opinion. You tell me
yeah,
what's happening.
yeah. What I learned from Morgan is kind of like, you know, how collecting and the stories behind it is kind of tied together. You know, That's,
Yeah.
I think every episode, every guest we have, we should learn something,
I,
and I feel like I've learned, I think every collector or people in this hobby have a journey. And, I appreciate him sharing his journey with us, and, of being who he is, who he is as a filmmaker, but as also as a collector,
yeah.
So that was good. Hmm.
I think with everything that you do, you are who you are, right?
Hmm.
And so we got to learn a little more about Morgan,
Hmm.
his
Yeah.
his interest, and I love the bad boy stage. And
No.
knowing him now as an adult,
Yeah.
I can't see that version of him, but
Yeah.
it shows that you can really grow. And
Yeah. And and also some good tips, he's very firm on what his opinion is on the hobby. I think, it's like when we asked about ripped or, slab, he's like,
yeah,
I don't think he even took 2 seconds to answer
yeah.
definitely buying the slab,
Yeah.
and it's not because he's a flipper, it's all about profit. No, it's actually, he thinks instead of spending the money, he would rather buy something he wants and appreciate.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, getting rid of it later, it's what he truly wants, instead of just
Right.
spending the money and you don't know what you're getting,
Right. Luck.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. So he's not the gambler when it comes to that, basically. That's one, that's a good thing to learn, because how I started is ripping,
Yeah.
until we learn that there are
And
better options.
and we can definitely learn about fiscal responsibility about a person, because
Hmm.
I wouldn't say Sharon is fiscally responsible.
Whoa. Maybe we should do that clip.
Yeah, no. It's the truth. I'm here. I know you.
Okay.
I I
No,
think
I
because
want to
because
elaborate on
no,
that.
no, 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 no. Because we go shopping. Sharon doesn't look at price tags. I'm in the clearance rack, and I could see Morgan in the clearance rack, and I feel like I'm more in Morgan's spirit, and you're like quite the opposite, just personality wise.
How do you tie that into buying cards? Okay. When I buy cards, I don't look
Okay.
at the price tag, but I know what's good.
Right.
I'm not gonna go in a bargain bin. No, I'm not going to dollar cards that find a $50 card. Possibly there could be some good stuff,
Right.
and there are people who make a living out of that. No,
Correct.
But when a customer calls me and like, oh, I have a Otani signature rookie 101, for example, you want it. It's like showing my poker face. I'm like, really? That's nice. Maybe I'll think about it. Show me a picture. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I want that card.
Okay, but
Mhm.
fiscally responsibility would know, like, you have
Can I afford the card?
not afford the card. Can you afford to buy the card
Mm-hmm.
right now? Still pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, on top of that, you plan for emergencies, right?
That's
Emergency. Like, and then you
Yes.
make a decision. That's what I mean by being fiscally responsible, Sharon.
That's true.
Okay.
But I
thank
did
you.
buy that card. Okay. So we'll talk about the fiscally responsible, like about buying that card. But
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. And so we learned that, what else, you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, you can learn so much
Mhm.
about people, and that's what I
Mhm.
enjoy, right?
Yeah.
I
Well,
enjoy, and we're all adults here, right?
Yeah.
We're
Well,
all
managing
we're
your
all
money.
over 40.
Not all. There's a lot of younger people
I
listening
mean,
to this.
we and the
Oh,
people.
me and you.
I mean,
Yes.
for the most part,
We're
the
aging
people,
ourselves now.
the
That's
people
true.
that we have communications with,
Mhm.
are around the
Yeah.
people we hang out with are around our age,
Mm-hmm.
and as sad as it is, we think about mortality, right?
Yeah.
Because we're at that stage where we're going to more funerals than weddings.
Oh my God.
Why is this shock, Sharon? I don't understand.
Okay. It's true.
But
It's true.
it's true. When you get to this age, you're thinking about your parents. You're thinking about, having
Yeah.
to take care of an aging parent. Like, you are at that stage.
But it's like, you think about where you put your money, basically, and it's like you gotta think about enjoying
And you're
life a
always
little.
thinking about retirement.
I am. I've been thinking about it for 10 years, to
Yeah.
be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, but I also want to grow in
But
this
she doesn't
hobby.
want to live on ramen.
No,
Like,
I'm not. No, never doing
it's
that.
like,
No.
like, I
Nope.
mean,
I think I worked hard enough to to deserve that.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
yes. Okay, whatever.
I
If you tell us we need something, or I need something, I want a sneaker. I want 5 sneaker. Maybe I'll buy 3 instead of 5.
oh wow. Okay.
What? No, I'm
Okay.
just kidding. Don't put that in the video. That's too conceited. No, 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 no. No, if I want a sneaker, I want to buy it. That's
I
the thing.
you
Yeah.
correct. And that's how we're different.
Yeah, that's
Because
fine. And I think you need that. It's like you tell me, oh, are you sure we should get the one of one Otani right now or no? That type of thing.
uh-huh.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, the first thing you told me is then you have to sell another card.
Yeah.
Yes, not just keep everything basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's trending? Let's say, so who do you think, let's say NFL right now.
Yep.
Who's the trending name? Who's the guy that comes to your head when you think about the NFL right now?
Drake May.
True,
Yeah.
true. Now he's in like
Oh,
MVP conversation.
and Jalen Hurts. So I think about the things that are
Oof.
going up and then the things that are,
going down.
Baker
Mhm.
Mayfield.
Yep. Mhm.
Like
It's good and bad,
yeah.
But the thing about NFL though is week by week,
Yeah.
they have to make the playoff. They have one good week, it's back up again, obviously. But
Yeah.
right now, Drake May is in a good streak. He has beaten some good teams. I'm not saying he's dominating stats wise, but they're winning. He's producing basically. That's the difference. Before Michael Penix got injured, he was putting up some numbers, but they're not winning.
Mhm.
So and then he got injured. So that's just a bad combination. It's
Mhm.
like and then beginning of season, people like, oh, Drake May is trash and Jaden is great. They're already putting Jaden up there, like,
Mhm.
and next thing you know, now people are saying, oh, Jaden can't read plays, or I don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's like,
you just discovered that.
yeah, and he
Mm.
has a strong arm, but there's
Right.
always but now.
Yeah.
Now even his future is kind of questionable. I'm not sure those are right description, but right now, when he was playing in the beginning season, none of his tools, like wide receivers, runners, are healthy, and then he came back.
Mhm.
All the receivers are back, but he just came back. So
Right.
I don't think
And
that's
now
the
he's
right way to
rusty.
judge.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So we invested on both, obviously, Jaden and Drake. And right now Drake
Yeah.
is looking good.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
the good
like
thing about
Drake now
diversifying.
covers the loss for
Yes.
the Jaden at this
Yes.
time, at this
Yeah.
this time
And
and
it's-
moment.
that's
right?
why we kind of diversify our portfolio sometimes.
Yeah.
We don't just put everything in one
Yeah.
basket, basically.
Yeah.
And with that, should we continue to buy Drake, or what do we do with Drake as an investor?
I don't know. I think I don't I feel like they feel young, so I don't see them being able to win.
The team in general? Or
Yeah, the team in general.
Mhm.
Like the number of players with playoff experience on
Yeah.
the team, him, being able to manage that, because they said it's different managing playoffs, managing the media. It's a total different beast
Mhm.
once you get in it, and
Yeah.
that requires experience.
Have you
So,
seen Lamar in the playoff? Have
yeah.
we seen Herbert in the playoff? It's like so different.
Yeah.
But you could also say Joe Burrow is like steel when it comes to the playoff. He could get to the finals. I'm not saying he won, but he got further
Mhm.
than the other two guys that I
Yeah.
previously mentioned. So
Yeah.
we will see, and I don't know if they have enough experience. Even the receivers for Drake, I don't know if
Patriots,
Patriots is ready for that. But
Yeah.
they do look like they have a good team.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
If you have some that you could sell to cover some of the big cards, and hold a couple, probably. I think that's the best way to do.
I
Mhm.
feel like it's still a wait and see type of thing.
Yeah.
Big game coming up this week against the Bills. So
Is it this week, the Bills?
yeah.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah.
If you could beat the Bills twice, that
Yeah.
give you some
You know,
real oomph there.
clout.
Yeah. So now NBA. I think there's 3 names or 3 topic, but first SGA. I think people could see now that this team is legit. They could win. They could win it all again, I think.
Yeah. Like what I'm saying with experience. Like
Mhm.
if Halliburton hadn't hadn't gotten hurt,
People are saying that before.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Could they have stolen one essentially from them
Mm-hmm.
because they were falling apart a little?
Yeah.
You know, they
But
were, you know,
now they came out kind of telling the world,
yeah.
oh, you don't think we deserve that one? We're getting
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I
you
think-
now have the experience. You now know that you can go through
Mhm.
82 game season
Yep.
and come out on top.
Yeah, and they have a few people that like, oh, when Chet was out, you know, the other people stepped in. You know, AJ Mitchell. You know, I like him. And then when Jalen was out for the beginning season, people stepped up. You know,
Mhm.
so that's a good sign for a team. You know, their defense didn't drop off. You know, when one was missing, and you know, I think overall,
this is a team that's up by 40 and still getting excited about playing defense.
Yeah.
So that's scary.
Yeah, that is scary. I could see that.
Like,
And because of that, SGA and some of the cards of his are starting to really kind of pop.
he's starting to get recognition.
Yep, starting to get recognition. He's still not up to Luka. This is, you know, but it's getting up there, you know.
Yeah.
I sold one Luka Prism, not Luka, Shea Prism Gold, and I'm like kind of regretting selling it now, you know, because you can't replace it. Once you sell it, you can't replace it.
Right.
So, you know, I think, but I think there's still some room because you could still buy RPA number to 25, not an NT, but in other products for $1,000, you know, 1,500 maybe.
Still,
yeah. So I think there's still room for even for Chet, for Jalen Williams to kind of buy if you think they're the next dynasty, and they could be.
Yeah.
Because they're young, you know. We were talking about who's the oldest guy there.
Mhm.
You know, it's Caruso basically. You know.
Yeah, and he's their vet. Like he's
important. He's not a starter, but he
right.
comes in at the end of the game. You know.
But I think he's the guy that gets them through the hump.
Yeah.
Like,
and
whether
it's important
defense,
to have someone like that.
Yeah, hitting big shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I think they all understand their role now, which is makes them even more lethal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, definitely look good. I don't know if they're gonna hit a slump, but right now they're looking good.
Yeah.
And then who's your second team that you really love right now?
Well, you mentioned, you know, being able to play without your star, and now it's the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
How good are the Spurs even without Wemby right now? You know,
right now you're giving those bench players just a little more experience in clutch times, and
it's not just their bench because Fox came in when Wemby got injured, so kind of like a sub, you know.
Yeah.
But he's playing very well, and then when Vassell is kind of coming to his own, you know, he's a starter, and then obviously Castle is playing well, but he kind of got nicked up too and not playing. And then this kid, Dylan Harper, who's like the second pick this year, is now like a crazy energizer bunny when it comes to like the second team, you know, and could be good to pick up too. The only thing is there's so many guys that you could really invest in that team, but the main guy is
still Wemby.
So, and he's still kind of low right now because he's injured. So there's this gap that you could actually buy him. So, which is great. I mean, I bought a couple, nothing big, but I, you know, if I see a good deal, I will buy, you know, a couple of Wemby because I think talent wise, he's one of those game changers. You know.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
Who's your third?
Third is basically the Lakers. You know, Luka is obviously up there already. I'm always buying Luka. You know, if it's fair price, in my opinion. You know, I would like to buy another gold, you know, contender, but they're starting to go up a little, you know. But obviously, who is his partner in crime right now when LeBron is out? Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing about Austin, though, he doesn't really have great cards. Like, there's no, I don't think he has an RPA National Treasure. I'm not sure, but you know, never seen it or never bought it. So
yeah, I don't.
But I think, he's I don't think he does because he's a free agent. You know, he's gonna be one of the highest free agent, you know, highest paid free agent. Yeah. So it's like, would you buy? So that's the question I asked you. Should I go buy, you know, Austin Reeves right now? And what was your answer?
Unless you think he's gonna be Brunson.
I think he's
like
better
kind
than
of
Brunson.
he's gonna leave this team
I could be criticized for that, but
Yeah.
by saying that,
Because you're not a Nick fan, so
yes.
you're a hater.
Mhm.
No, but unless he's basically going to leave the team, the guy has to be able to leave his team and have his own,
That's what they're saying. If he
you
becomes a
know.
free agent, can
Yeah.
you build a team around him?
I think right now the answer is no.
I think he could be a second. I don't think he's the first.
Right.
Yes.
So you
So
want
I
to
think
invest in number 2? You want to invest in the second best runner?
did people invest
The
in Clay?
second best?
Not really,
No.
So, and I think Luca is such a dominant effect on things that,
Yeah.
it the best guard
Right.
will be guarding Luca, maybe even LeBron.
Right. So they got to think about
Yeah.
building a dynasty. I would buy
Yes.
him depending on the price, like where his price point is,
Mhm.
if we're thinking about the Lakers building a dynasty. Because the next team,
Yeah. I don't know how
the next
it's very
Laker
hard,
team to
Mhm.
win
Mhm.
is going to be a hero. Like
Yeah.
and so if he's a part of that team,
Mhm.
that's why I would buy him. That's why I think that he would
Yeah.
go up, but not like as the man right now.
Yeah. But they are the highest scoring tandem backcourt right now, which is
Yeah, I love watching him.
Yeah.
When he's having an off night, he's having an off night.
I mean,
It's
he's
just not
having
a-
more great night than off night right
Yeah,
now.
it's just not.
Last year, I think there was there's more off night than great
Mhm.
nights.
Yeah.
But I think now with Luca, an opposite of him,
Yeah.
and people forget that Luca is such a great passer that
Yeah.
it opens him up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
LeBron too. With
LeBron, yeah.
LeBron back,
Yeah.
you have two of the best, bigger,
All
best
these
passer
guys
out
got to
there.
do is get in the gym, spot up shot.
Yep.
And these guys are doing all
Yeah.
the work. Let LeBron, let
Mhm.
Austin Reeves.
But he's not just a Clay. He doesn't just spot. He could also penetrate
Yeah,
a little.
no.
He
Austin
could
Reeves
also
can do
pass a
some
little.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let those guys do
Yeah.
the work, and I think it makes life easier for all the other guys. Marcus
Exactly.
Smart can just chill in the corner.
Mhm.
Do you think
Rui.
play defense, foul somebody,
Mhm.
and Rui
Well,
spot up?
Rui
you
needs to
know.
be more consistent, but
Yeah.
for
That's
them
it.
to really build a
Yeah.
championship team.
Yeah.
So, okay. So that's our wrap for NBA. Do you want to elaborate a little on some of the issue going on, or what do you want to talk about with the PSA thing? Debacle, you call it.
Uh, I thought we covered it with Morgan when we were talking about it. I thought, we all, thought that basically if, PSA is like, if it's a glitch, it's a glitch.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to mention it is that you had an actual opposite experience
So
of the reveal.
So a lot of people obviously come up and ask me that,
Yeah.
oh, what do you think of this? A lot of content creators are creating a lot of videos about it. It's all over social media,
Mhm.
because when you're up top, when you're the highest, people want to knock, if they find something, it's human nature to kind of like, nope, don't use BSA now,
Talk to my 7th graders.
Exactly. Oh my God. Okay. So basically, I do think hopefully, the optimistic part of me is like it's a small glitch. There are billion-dollar companies. Would they do this? But also human nature in my head is like, did they do it really? Or, it's part of it. You question things,
Yeah.
I think it's healthy for us to question.
Absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
it's important for us to question.
Yeah.
But I want to give an experience about that glitch, because that glitch was the opposite of what happened to this person.
Yeah.
So they're saying that they're PSA 9s, and then next thing you know, they look at the same number and the picture changed to a PSA 10.
Yeah.
But that time they already sold the card back to PSA.
Mhm.
So yes, the optic doesn't look good. But what happened to me is I'm really upset because when I got the reveal, it's a PSA 10, Brunson Gold. I was like, what? So happy. By the time I got it back and I opened the package, it's a Brunson 9 Gold, which I still have. Actually, I might have sold. But I'm so upset. And then now you type in that number, the picture and the reveal is back to a 9 now. I was fuming. I called my rep and like, what is going on here? it's like a glitch, they said, it's not final. So it's like when you get the reveal, it's not final, apparently.
Mm.
So they have one more
So stop
process to
doing the
double check,
reveal.
Yeah. So, well, what's the fix? I don't know,
Right, because you
So,
sent it back. I want this card reviewed. Like,
so it's possible to have a glitch,
right.
basically.
It's possible
So
to have a glitch.
with that said, it's a one-time thing. We haven't seen it, another person bringing it up
Yeah.
yet. We'll give it a pass. We'll see. But I just want people to know my experience.
Right.
It's the opposite. Instead of getting a 9 to a 10, now it's 10 to a 9, basically.
Yeah.
And I even gave it back for them to review. It's still a 9. So,
Yeah.
yep.
So
And
my
that's it.
biggest thing is like just the turnaround times in like
Mhm.
now I only want to grade like walkthroughs and premiums in a card show because I want it back the same
Yeah, but
day.
the thing is,
The
this
turnaround times
yeah.
for
that is
express regular,
probably that's my frustration too, is the turnaround time, because they open a branch in New Jersey,
right,
and,
especially with us being on the East Coast, first of all.
and they said they're opening one in Florida. Soon.
Mhm.
So, but they still send everything to California.
Mhm.
So to me, and it's even longer now. So what's the point of me dropping it there? If I can't go to a walkthrough there, because if you fly to California, I think they
Right,
could do a
you could
walkthrough.
do a walkthrough.
So I hope they could fix
And
that.
the
That's
price
obviously
is the same.
yeah. I have a
It's like-
walkthrough that's in like 3-4 weeks still now, and still not back with me. I knew the grade a week and a half ago.
Right.
It's obviously done, but it's just not in my hand, for 2 weeks. So hopefully it could be fixed. Hopefully it's
Yeah.
just some growing pains right now, and for everyone that's saying, oh, don't use PSA, PSA still get you in the end, PSA still get you the highest rate when you sell an item, So you could test out other companies, obviously. But in the end of the day, if you're trying to move an item, you will go with a company that still sells the highest. And, that's just reality,
Mhm.
And to treat my customer or even my own cards, I will give my customer the best shot, at getting, at maximizing. And to me, that's still PSA. So,
So until more people are willing to go to the
Yeah.
other company and more
Mhm.
people are willing to buy other companies.
then we'll talk
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying, we won't use other company, but until the sale numbers are almost
Yeah.
the same, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Right now it's not there.
Yeah.
So
It used to be,
it used to be.
Back,
Yeah.
Right. Back at
Mhm.
9.5 used to be.
Yep. Oh, Beckett has pristine,
Yeah.
But what are the odds of getting pristine? It's
Right.
not easy. So until now, it's not there. So,
Right.
Okay, that's a wrap for our episode. And thank you. Follow us in Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify.
If you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.